Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone's having a fabulous Friday. It's been a crazy week, but today was a great day and a beautiful day. It's starting to get a little cooler over here, so summer is officially over. But I wanted to come on here really quick and continue my saga. I know I kind of ended the last episode on kind of a more personal note. I talked about a lot of things that I don't really like to talk about a lot. Some things are embarrassing, some things that are kind of low-key traumatic, but I wanted to put my story out there and talk about some of my experiences while being a Jehovah's Witness sister and trying to find that special someone and how difficult it can really be. So I hope you did enjoy that episode. It did get a few views along with some of my other videos. So just please continue to show some support. Again, these videos are for my healing as well. So that's always a good thing, that even if only a few people watch these, it's still therapeutic for me to talk about my experiences. So today I'm going to talk about how I met my husband and how that happened and how we navigated our relationship of me still being a Jehovah's Witness. So if you're interested in that, please stay tuned. So as I mentioned in my last episode, I had a lot of interactions with Jehovah's Witness brothers. Some good, some bad. I didn't talk about every interaction in my last video, but I did talk about some of the experiences I had and the lessons that some of them taught me. And so basically after my experience with Nick, if you have watched my previous episode, I kind of realized that basically guys are guys and everyone has their own individual personalities. Just because someone is a baptized Jehovah's Witness, that doesn't automatically make them a better human being. So I kind of had to learn that lesson the hard way. And so after that, I kind of, in my certain way, I kind of wisened up and realized that Jehovah's Witness or not, I really needed to basically look at the person, their personality, how they treated people, how they treated their family, in order to know if they were the right one or not. And so what I decided to do was just kind of get out there, get on social media, and start exploring different friendships outside the organization. And so I did it. It was a really tough step because, you know, when you're raised as a Jehovah's Witness, is pretty much all you know. You're kind of programmed to fear those type of people, fear anyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness, and so it's kind of a scary prospect to get to know people, especially men who have not been in a religion. So I started making good use of some of the little fun apps, like the apps that are on mobile phones, like Moco Space, AirG, those little apps that people, you know, the young people mess around with. I don't think they're as popular now, but back a few years ago they were. And so I just started interacting with different people on there, and I got to meet a few nice guys and nice people up there, and just, you know, got to learn how to you know, basically appreciate people outside the organization. So that was an enjoyable experience. And so on one of these sites, my future husband basically reached out to me, and he kind of reached out to me in a different way. I feel like a lot of the other DMs I was receiving and the correspondence I was getting was more so, you know, it was guys messaging me, hey, you look good, you're beautiful, things like that, which of course, you know, it feels good to hear because you don't hear that a lot in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And when you do, it's usually for an ulterior motive. And so, or at least in my experience. And so, you know, it was kind of where, you know, it's nice to hear that, but something seemed missing. So when he messaged me, he kind of more so approached me in the sense that, hey, I'm interested in you, but this is what I have going on. So, you know, he kept it real with me. I appreciated his realness, versus just kind of saying things to fluff me up and make me feel good, versus, you know, being, you know, showing me who he is as a person. So anyway, we messaged back and forth. Eventually we exchanged numbers. started texting back and forth. And so after a couple weeks of texting back and forth, I was corresponding with him. He was kind of surprised at, some of the lack of experience I had, if you know what I mean, and didn't think that I was telling the truth. So we kind of just, corresponded back and forth, and then one day we decided to meet up. And so, I was kind of nervous about it. I kind of gone on a couple dates before with some guys who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, but I was, a little nervous about meeting him because he lived quite a bit of a distance away from me at the time. It was a good 40 minutes. So, I wasn't sure, how this all was going to turn out. So we decided to meet. Drove up there, we met, and immediately I was instantly physically attracted. I found him physically attractive. And I was surprised because, in his pictures, he kind of looked a little different. He kind of looked like just an ordinary dude. And in person, I found him very attractive. A lot of the things that I found attractive in a guy, it's kind of things that he had. And usually when I meet up with somebody that I'm physically attracted to, that I find cute, I'm kind of intimidated by that because I always question if they like me back in return. But the different thing with him is that he made me feel comfortable. I didn't have to feel like I was nervous around him. We were able to laugh and kick it and joke and have fun. And he was the first guy that I felt physically attracted to that I was actually able to feel comfortable around. And so that was a nice thing. And so we started spending a lot of time together. We really enjoyed being in each other's company. And of course, the other thing I appreciated is that, again, he kept things real with me. Every phase of our relationship, whether it was just a friendship or just getting to know each other, unlike kind of a lot of the BS that I was being fed from the people in my past experience that I talked about in my last video, he basically kept things real. Every step of our relationship, I knew what was going on. And so that was refreshing. Kind of the honesty was very refreshing. So we started dating. Things got serious after a few months. But the thing is, one thing I was really hesitant about telling him was that I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses. So I was kind of hesitant. I don't know if I was embarrassed or what have you, but I just kind of felt some type of way about telling him about who I was. And so he actually didn't find out until like 7 months into us dating. He did ask a lot, a couple of questions, like, because he didn't get to meet my family or anything like that. Because obviously, when you're in a Jehovah's Witness religion, and for people who are not familiar with the Jehovah's Witness religion, one thing that Jehovah's Witnesses are really big on is that they really want you to marry somebody that is also a baptized Jehovah's Witness. So if you don't do that, if you marry somebody that's not a baptized Jehovah's Witness, even someone affiliated with the religion, but they're not baptized, they definitely look down upon that as well. And so if you marry someone like that, you can lose like any privileges that you have in a congregation. And even if you're a woman in a congregation, any little thing that you're doing can get taken away if you marry someone that's not a Jehovah's Witness. And so, I was kind of fearful of that. I knew my parents definitely wouldn't approve of someone, of me dating someone, being with someone who was not a Jehovah's Witness. And the other thing is that they assume that if you're dating someone that's not a Jehovah's Witness, that you're automatically doing things that are obviously banned by the religion. They obviously assume that you're having sex, that you're doing things, committing fornication, what have you. Things that obviously should not be done in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And so, yeah, I just was really, really scared, really hesitant to talk with my family. So I didn't tell them. I didn't tell a single person, any of my friends. And, the only friends I had was in the congregation. I didn't even tell my co-workers about him. And, I was so happy in this relationship. It was kind of painful not being able to tell anybody about this wonderful man that I was with. But the reason why I was afraid to tell anyone was that, if I told anyone, whether they were in the Jehovah's Witness religion or not, I feared that it would basically come back to my parents or come back to my elders, and I would basically get in trouble for it. So I just was really scared and hesitant. But then, like, it kind of helped when about a few months into our relationship, I think my boyfriend figured out that I was Jehovah's Witness. He was talking about holidays, and me and him have never really been big on holidays. When we do celebrate, or when we do participate in holidays, it's because we're wanting to spend time with family or whatnot. But he asked me about the holidays. I think it was maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I said, well, I really don't celebrate. I'm not really big on the holidays. And he goes, what are you, Jehovah's Witness? And I was like, yeah, actually I am. So, that's how he figured it out. And come to find out, his mom had briefly studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. So he had some familiarity with the religion. But, that was pretty much the extent of it. So after he found out I was a Jehovah's Witness, it was kind of a relief, because now he kind of knew why he couldn't meet my mom and dad. That I wasn't hiding anything. I wasn't hiding a secret family or secret husband behind his back. That, basically there were some complicated things going on behind the Jehovah's Witness religion, that to where I couldn't have a normal dating relationship where he can meet my family and spend time with my family, so my family could get to know him as a person before we got serious. But we managed to make it work. I mean, we did have our problems and our complications with that, basically that part of my family being missing, but we basically made it work. And I actually managed to keep the entire relationship a secret from my family for the entire time that we dated, and we dated for over a year. So I managed to keep it from everyone So even though, it was a relief for my boyfriend to know that I was a Jehovah's Witness, it was kind of still very stressful, constantly looking over my shoulder, hoping that no one would find out about my secret relationship. I didn't share it with any of my best friends. And at this time, I was still, close friends with the person I talked about in my previous episode. We were still cool and we were still hanging out, but I couldn't tell her about that part of my life, even though I was really happy in my relationship. So it was stressful, and it kind of it kind of felt like something was missing, because I couldn't tell people about how happy I was. But the more that serious I got with him, the more I kind of withdrew from my family, because in addition to keeping the secret, I felt really guilty. I was officially living a double life, especially after several months into us dating. We really got serious, and of course did things that could definitely get me disfellowshipped. So just the guilt, and me living because I was still pioneering for the most part. So it just was a very stressful time. Eventually we got engaged. Again, nobody else but his side of the family knew about it. I actually got to meet his family, and got to get to know them and everything, but he didn't get to know that part of my family. And so that was kind of it was a bittersweet moment. But yeah, we got engaged, and we started making arrangements to get married. But mind you, again, I was still living with my parents, so I had to figure out a way to move out of my apartment, or not move out of my apartment, to get my own apartment, and to get out of my parents' house and basically escape without them being suspicious. And then eventually I had to figure out a way to let them know about my relationship. I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. So that was just a very stressful, scary time. I didn't know what I was going to do. I knew I was trying to find an apartment. I started putting my stuff in storage. But it was just a, very stressful time, because I didn't know how this is all going to pan out. And so, things went like that for about a year and a half. And so, one summer, we basically had set a date that we were going to get married, because my husband, he had just got done with aviation school. And he was in the process of purchasing a car from his dad. And so we decided, because the car was in another state, we decided to make it a little road trip, and we were going to get married, basically, at where, he was going to buy the car at his dad. We were basically going to get married up there. But we didn't know how. I didn't know how I was going to sneak away from my parents. I had no idea how any of this was going to work. And then literally one day, out of the blue, everything kind of fell into place in the most craziest way possible. So on the next episode, I will talk about that. I will talk about the day that I escaped and how everything fell into place. So if you're interested in hearing about how everything went down the day that I escaped, please continue to stay tuned. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out the videos that I put just about in every video. Check out the videos, the channels in the description box of those stories as well. So again, hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Hope everyone has a great weekend. Much love.